The Housemaid stars Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried and comes in at 74% on the tomato meter, 92 by the audience. So a lot of people like this movie. Now, I got to tell you straight up, I've never read the book that this was based on, so I can't tell you how closely the movie follows that. But the standout here is that definitely Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney here, because the movie is all on their shoulders here. And the setup of this movie over on the IMDb reads, a struggling young woman is relieved by the chance of a fresh start as a maid for a wealthy couple. Soon she discovers that the family secrets are far more dangerous than her own. So, do you kind of understand what they're talking about there? What do you mean that she's got dangerous secrets, right? And this couple. So they're an upper class couple here. Amanda Seyfried recruits Sydney Sweeney to be the housemaid. And if you watch the trailers for this, you see that, okay, no, there's something definitely not right here, where it's kind of like, you want me to sleep in this weird room, but then you're going to lock me inside at night kind of thing. And the movie does a good job setting up all the characters. Basically, the daughter is her daughter, and then the husband is just a tech guy or something. He's kind of like the breadwinner, and it's kind of like, okay, I see what's going on here. Obviously, Amanda Seyfried's not right up here, right? And we're going to have to deal with some jealousy and all that kind of stuff. That's what the trailers were selling us. That's a very interesting premise. But my main reaction coming out of the theater from this was, despite the good acting, it's got some serious pacing issues, because the movie comes in at 2 hours and 11 minutes. So if you think about the 3-act structure here, the first act is the setup, right? And that's the setup of, she's going to get recruited to be the housemaid, and we're going to learn about the characters, and then we're going to learn about the situation. That Amanda Seyfried is a little bit nutty, and she might be in some serious danger. Okay, well, I understand that, but the movie takes about an hour and 10 minutes to establish all of that. And then it beats you over the head with, okay, no, we get it. Amanda Seyfried is not straight in the head, and she's going to be very abusive in this movie. And it's kind of like, well, how much are we going to tolerate from this? Granted, there's some really good acting in this, but by the 45-minute mark, I was like, this is sadistic. She's obviously really abusive to Sydney Sweeney here, the housemaid, and I kind of get it. And you understand that perhaps there could be some rope-a-dopes, some change-ups of what's going on here, because it's directed by Paul Feig, and he did things like A Simple Favor and stuff like that. But it really suffers from that pacing. Now, I'm guessing that a lot of people like the payoffs in this film, and that's a good way of saying it. This movie has a lot of really good payoffs in the third act, but it takes a long time to get to those payoffs. And it does have some twists in here. But if you are a cinephile and you understand story structure, then you're going to see a lot of those twists coming a mile away. It's kind of like, okay, you're beating a dead horse here with this setup. How possibly can you wow me now by the end of this film? And if you are into this, then those payoffs are going to work for you. They're going to be like, okay, wow, I can't wait to see how this is going to play out. Because I wasn't expecting it to go there, but now I kind of like, ooh, now I'm kind of sympathizing with what was happening with Amanda Seyfried. He's like, how does that possibly happen? But that's the kind of movie that this is, right? It's one of those things where it's just like, once you get to those payoffs, once you get to these big scenes, the selling points of the movie, then you'll be on board. And Brandon Sklenar here, as the husband, does a good job He's supposed to be that token stud, that he's like the savior of everything wrong in the family, right? And if you don't know, he's my pick to be the next Batman. But everybody does a good job. That's just the way I'm going to say it. Let's go over to my score sheet now and take a look at how I'm going to fill things out here for The Housemaid. And then we'll go back to the tomato meter and take a look at what the critics and audiences are saying. So acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. Acting, Amanda Seyfried puts on a showcase here. She really does. She takes you for the ride. You're seeing it through Sydney Sweeney's point of view, and she does a good job, Sydney Sweeney. She really does. Is it as good as Christie? I don't know. But like the ensemble here, Brandon Sklenar also does good. So I'd give that a 1.5. But then when the payoffs really start to happen towards the end, and you get to see the range of both Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, I got to give it a full 2 points based on that. Now, the execution of the story here, I'm going to knock down a little bit. The technical aspects, it was well framed, but when we talk about the pacing of that, I feel like we could have cut down a lot of that first act where you sold us this bill of goods. We kind of know what it is. You don't need to keep hitting me over the head with it, though. And you'll know what I mean when you watch this movie. It'll be kind of like, well, we know that she's an abusive wife. We know that she's obviously not straight up here. We know all this. Why are you showing this to us again? We're already against her. So you don't need to keep beating us over the head with it, because it does push that line of sadistic, of being really like cruel. But James, that's the point. I know, but it's just like it gets uncomfortably cruel, right? So the story, it's got a good premise, and it's got some really good payoffs. So I'll give that 1.5. But the directing, I do reserve the right to come back to the directing. Yeah. Cinematography, I'm actually going to give a full point to the cinematography here, because we get to see some very interesting shots of the house. Like, the house almost becomes another character in the movie, because we see her locked in the attic, and we see these stairwells and stuff like that, and you get to know the layout of the house. It just becomes like this other entity that helps to play the role of her being trapped in this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you get the idea, right? So 1 out of 10 for the cinematography. The score was pretty much serviceable for the movie. We're sitting at 6 out of 10 right now for The Housemaid. Let's go back to the tomato meter here and see if we can get some consensus from the critics and audience. 74%. Yeah, we're going to be in that ballpark. Not as high as 9 out of 10. But let's see what people are saying in here. Movie Freak. It's a goofily inspired romp through sex, violence, gaslighting, female empowerment, and bloody revenge. It is sexy. This is a it's got a lot of sex appeal. Its core events centered around 2 titanically exuberant performances from stars. Yeah. This is a movie that knows you know that it knows that you know. It's a tug of war between the audience and these filmmakers, and let me tell you something, they're going to win. Yeah, the payoffs here are the selling point, and the big point that people will be like, okay, let's watch this movie, right? So let's take a look at some other critics here. Double Toasted said, The Housemaid is trash. Really? But I'd be damned if I'm not going to say some good trash. Really? Really? Huh. Jack Martin. Much like the book. Okay, here, that's a good one. So this person's read the book. It's flimsy and unmistakably trashy, but The Housemaid seems aware of itself enough to have fun, while still delivering an enjoyably chilling tale weaved in the right kind of cinematic preposterousness. I like that, the use there of preposterousness. Okay, let's take a look at a critic who didn't like it. The established shot. Some is played too straight. Some performances are far too arch, and the script is all over the map, turning on a dime from reasonable to irrational. Yeah. There's a point in the movie where it's like, would you really put up with this kind of abuse? Would you really put up with this kind of abuse? There's got to be some other solutions. And that's what I mean about that first act, where it's kind of like we're getting so masochistic, so sadistic here that the options of hitting the road have got to be more appealing than putting up with this, right? But I think that's what helps sells the third act, but it's kind of like it takes a long time to get there. Let's see what the audience is saying here for this movie. Just as captivating as the book. Amazing acting. Hated this movie. I would rate it in the horror category. Yeah, there's some horrific stuff that happens in here because we're talking about, as I said, really cruel and sadistic, cutting kind of stuff. Like, yeah, there's some horrific stuff in here for sure. And that's where it kind of got me, where I kind of like, well, I'm a big horror aficionado, right? But as I said, even for me, we're really pushing the limits of good taste. Yeah, a great throwback to the 80s and 90s domestic thrillers. So nice to see that genre make a great comeback. Okay. Well, let's see what the consensus says here for the audience. Juicy and satisfying pop fare, The Housemaid offers a tantalizing peek through the proverbial peephole, sure to delight both newcomers and fans of the novel. Critics, a sly throwback to the lurid thrillers that used to dominate multiplexes. The Housemaid cleans up nicely thanks to its wicked sense of fun and a delightfully unnerving performance by Amanda Seyfried. Yeah, Amanda Seyfried is amazing in this film and is the highlight. So you get the gist of where I'm going with this. So, that being said, let's wrap up this score and get us out of here, with the watchability factor being out of a possible 2 points. So, if you read the book, you'll definitely be wanting to check this out in theaters if you can. See it with a big audience if you can, because there's going to be points in this where you'll be cheering and going. But if you catch it on streaming, that's just as well. Would I watch this again? It's a tough watch, man. It really is. But the acting is worthwhile. The acting is worth studying, especially from Amanda Seyfried here. Yeah, 7.5 for The Housemaid. That sounds about right. I would fight to get it to an 8. I really would. And I think that would have to come out of, where can I give that other point? Directing? No, I can't. But it's just, I'm struggling. No, I can't. 7.5 out of 10 for The Housemaid. I really do. I really would have liked to have given it an 8, but we got to be realistic here. So what did you guys think? 7.5 for The Housemaid. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Did it follow the book? It's a good movie, and it's worth seeing. Straight up. If you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel, because we just reviewed Anaconda and Marty Supreme, as well as Ella McKay, Eternity, and the stinky Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Right here on Mirror Domains.